Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to the circus that is OpTic Rostermania. Pred has confirmed on stream last night that after 10 days of negotiations, Seattle Surge have declined what would have been the biggest deal in CDL history for Pred to join OpTic. That is no longer happening for the second time in the space of a couple of weeks. A good or terrible decision by the Seattle Surge. And also, what does it mean for OpTic? What is their team going to be with the deadline fast approaching? Very much intrigued to your thoughts down below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate loads of new subs yesterday. I'm sure we can rack those numbers up today because man, it's been a chaotic 24 hours. It starts out with this. iLLeY comes out with his story yesterday, the following: rise and grind. Here is iLLeY in 5 hours ago at the time, and this is where he happens to be. Now people saw this and thought, okay, what's going on? Because we saw the other day or yesterday that Dashy was seemingly back in Canada because he was only 5 hours behind my time zone, whereas he should have been 6 hours behind when he posted that particular screenshot of the Drake song if he was in Texas with the rest of the team. Same story goes for iLLeY. Surely if iLLeY is still in OpTic's starting team and they're not making a two-man change, as they may well be, or maybe they need iLLeY back, or maybe they need Dashy back after this Pred thing, I don't even know anymore. But still, you would think that if they were streaming or scrimming, with these guys, they would be there in Texas with the team to practice in person and play the games in person. If these players in question are back home for now, then it's a very likely possibility indeed that unless he happens to be travelling back today or yesterday or something, that indeed, he's also benched from the team alongside Dashy. That might be the two birds, one stone thing that Dashy was talking about yesterday. So this is the location. Now, people thought, okay, is this Texas because it's not snowing? But I saw this as Dimini and thought, oh my god, this is like a perfect GeoGuessr type of, Geo Rainbot, that guy, or even the Geo Detective stuff that GeoWizard does to find out where this is. Immediately I thought, damn, look at these street lamps, very distinctive, and there's a few other features here that people looked at to find out where this is. But of course, in the COD community, we've got locals to the area, and Chris says, look, I live in Ontario, and I can say with full confidence that is Brampton, a little town, it seems, just outside Toronto. So I actually tried to do my own research on this. I looked up this, it does seem like a very kind of, unique street lamp, right? And I tried to look up, like, okay, I found this company here that actually makes these kind of poles in Canada, and I thought this, was a little bit similar, right? This design, it's not identical to that one, but just these curved things are a little bit similar to what we just saw there. But then we noticed people talking about this. So these are the Brampton signs that are dotted around the place. I mean, this is like some premium COD content right here. So this sign, you guys can see the top of it, the white circle, the way the top of the sign is designed, the Brampton wording here, all this type of stuff. You guys look at the original image on the right hand side, you'll see this, which does appear to be, if that's fully on screen for you guys, very similar indeed to that sign we just saw. You guys can see the way the top of it is shaped and the black poles and everything like that. Looks like it could well be this exact sign. But then I decided, you know what, if it is Brampton, let me just chuck the orange man down on Google Maps, and I just spawned in right here. And I mean, yeah, look at that. Like, this is just a one street, Soft Needle Avenue or something in Brampton, Ontario. And yeah, it just spawned me in right here, and here we go with the exact street lamp that we saw in iLLeY's photograph. So more than likely that's where he is. Now, is he still there? I don't know. Maybe he's traveled back to Texas today and he's still in the team. But it does indicate for sure that iLLeY has also been removed from the roster, because at the end of the day, they made the decision to drop Dashy and iLLeY in the off-season for the various reasons they were going to do that for. We don't fully know the extent of that, but I'm sure it might come out in due course. And now being forced to blow it up after a bad Major 1, they're maybe just going to make the change they originally tried to make with Dashy out, iLLeY also out, and then try and, fill those roles somehow with players as yet unknown. Now, whether it's going to be a one-man change, a two-man change, or whether they're going to have to bring iLLeY back, or maybe they wanted to bench him, I mean, it's an absolute disaster. And also, I've got to say, it's a bit of a disaster for the other teams, and I'm sure a lot of the other teams are not happy with OpTic here after the last couple of weeks, because there's never really been a period where a team has this much chaos for this long. And I mean, look, apparently they've spent 10 days trying to negotiate for Pred. That's now fallen through, which is obviously far from optimal. But it also means that all the practice they had scheduled over the last couple of days has now been cancelled, right? Friday they had 2 scrims booked, they had to cancel both of them. Yesterday they had 2 scrims booked, they had to cancel both of them. This from our seas, right? Because I think OpTic were due to play LAG in a practice scrim, right, with their new team, presumably with Pred, but who honestly knows at this point. And they were meant to scrim LAG. They then cancelled the scrims again, and our seas is like, well, what do we got to do? I guess we got to look for a 4v4 S&D chal. So this is the frustrating thing for a lot of the pro teams, and I'm sure that the teams are getting annoyed about this. That OpTic the last couple of weeks have been an absolute disaster to deal with, because, if you schedule practice against OpTic and they sketch on you last minute because they don't have a team, it's like, well, lads, let's just not scrim scrim you anymore kind of thing, which, I don't know if the OpTic blacklist is going to come back again like it was a few years ago, but still, I know to a reasonable degree of certainty that at least some of the teams are not happy with OpTic's antics here over the last couple of weeks, and you can understand why. And also, I'm sure the fans aren't particularly happy with their antics after all the drama of the last few days or so. So that's the OpTic thing. Again, they cancelled scrims yesterday, which implied whatever deal they were trying to do, whatever players they were trying to get, had not yet been attained. And then Crone comes out with a massive Crone bomb, as he says. Pred to OpTic Texas is unlikely to happen at this current point in time. This is a key feature because, as we're talking about here, it is highly likely after all this that Pred to OpTic will happen in the off-season, but it is apparently not going to happen now. And honestly, the story might not be over. Pred to OpTic might not happen now, but the story might change after Major 2, and we'll discuss why in a second. Both teams were going back and forth over the last week or so. Pred even says on stream week and a half, but I'm told in the end, Seattle Surge declines what would have been the largest deal in Call of Duty League history. This is pretty mega. The largest deal so far, I don't know what it is. We believe that buying Arcitys off FaZe for LAG cost them in the region of, this is completely spitballed and pure speculation, but people were saying maybe 300k or something for Arcitys buyout, like, who knows. So maybe OpTic were offering like 500 grand, I don't know, but Seattle have denied it, and this is pretty big deal because Pred comes out on stream and explains this a bit, and I thought like the way that Pred explains this is really interesting actually, because he talks in quite some depth here about the fact that they tried everything, and it's quite evident that he's really disappointed in not being able to get this move done. It seems quite clear from his words that he wanted the deal to happen. Obviously OpTic wanted the deal to happen, but Seattle denied it. He says they tried everything. They, went to the, as high as they possibly could to get this deal done, but it just didn't happen. And Pred's like, well, I guess I've got to focus on the season ahead with Seattle.
Today was just a day that, today was a day where it just wasn't, it just didn't happen, man. Today was the day. Today was like the final day, guys. I'll be honest, it's been a long process. But, King Jess with the gifted tier 1, thank you, bro. Today was the day, man. It's been a long week and a half. A lot of conversations were happening. Let's just leave it at everything that could have possibly happened to make it happen, was attempted. Let's just say that. Let's just say everything that was possible to make it happen was attempted. Let's just leave it at that. It was attempted, and it was as possible. It was, let's just say it was, it was attempted to the highest level. It just wasn't possible. We've done everything we could. It just wasn't possible. But that's just how it is, guys. That's just how it is, man. But hey, still got a season, a long season. Gotta lock in, baby. Gotta lock in.
So obviously OpTic fans are understandably not happy about this at all, but we've got to talk about it first from the Seattle Surge's perspective, because look, a couple of years ago people talked about Seattle, they don't want to win. In fairness, they put a lot of money into that Modern Warfare team, but it was absolutely terrible, and the Cold War idea was also pretty awful, but thankfully they made some good decisions going into Vanguard, and since Pred has come in, and also Civ as well, they've made, well, some rather good performances, lots of top threes, won championship last year at Major 3, but still, last season was very volatile. They went from Grand Finals back to top 12, back to top 4, back to top 12, then won Major 3. It was all over the shop. And I actually believe I mentioned right after Major 1 that Surge making the finals at Major 1, losing to New York Subliners, was not a good sign for OpTic or other teams that want to make moves because, Surge is the ideal team you pinch talent from right now. But if they're making finals, you can't really do that because they're going to want to hang on to their players. That seems to be what happened. If Surge came top 6 at Major 1, I think OpTic get this deal done. But fact of the matter is that they made the finals, and therefore Surge don't want to sell Pred. And in fairness, right, you can look at it from Surge's point of view and say, well, look, if Surge sold their star player after a finals appearance, does that show they're not really so committed to winning? Because I guess they think that the benefit they get from not accepting this, let's just say 500 grand is just a spitball estimate here, from OpTic to round out the rest of the season with Pred. Is that going to benefit them more by keeping Pred, or is it not, right? I mean, they obviously are betting on the fact that they're going to win more championships with Pred for the rest of the season, and therefore it's worth keeping him. The issue is though, right, is that Pred's deal runs out at the end of the season. At the end of this year, he is an unrestricted free agent. This was confirmed here by Crone, and I think we all know this to be the case, that he's unrestricted at the end of the season. He's free to walk. So they've got him for 5 more events, 4 more majors, and then the World Championship. Is that worth not getting the buyout that OpTic wanted to pay for him? Because at the end of those events, he's probably just going to go to OpTic anyway. He clearly wants to go there. OpTic obviously want him. It makes so much sense for so many different reasons. But, you know, for now, the organization said, no, it doesn't matter what you offer us, OpTic, Envy, the ownership group over there. We're not accepting anything, which to me doesn't really sound like a great decision, just because this team is volatile and, you know, there's a very decent chance that Surge the next event get a top 8 or something, and all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe they should have just sold Pred for the money because he's going to walk anyway. But as I say, if that was to be the case, let's say OpTic, you know, struggle through with whatever roster they're going to put together here and Surge have a bad time, what if OpTic then go back after Major 2 and say, hey, we're still interested in Pred, like, you know, do you want to do the deal now? And after they've just got a poor placing, they'll be like, you know what, yeah, maybe let's take that money now. So even though this has been declined now, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, even after Major 2, the deal could still be done down the line. OpTic obviously wanted it to happen, but for now, Surge have said no. So, you know, I'm not sure that's a good decision from Seattle, Pred, and also what does it mean for the Seattle camp, right? Pred goes back into those group of 3 players, if Sib is even still there, because apparently OpTic wants Sib as well, and maybe they're going to get him, I don't know, but look, if he goes back into that team before, will they hold it against him a bit, because clearly you wanted to leave, like, you know, is it going to be easy for that team to focus up? I think Pred's good enough to make it work. I think the team understands that, you know, the OpTic move, getting to play with Scump in his final year, stuff like this, would have been very nice for Pred, so I think they can put it behind them, but nonetheless it's far from ideal. Now, the other side of the coin is the OpTic stuff. They've not got Pred, as it seems, as it stands, so what are they actually going to do? They've spent 10 days, it seems, trying to get Pred, and even before Christmas they were trying to get Pred. They failed to get it done both times, and they have to apparently submit their roster to the league tomorrow with what their team is going to be, because they've got to prepare the graphics and all this type of stuff. So they have around about 24 hours until this deadline comes into effect. Now, is this the time where, you know, Rabo Ray hits up Dashy if he's actually awake and says, look, we messed up here, you've got to make the return? Or the same deal to iLLeY, because maybe iLLeY's back in Canada right now because they were going to drop him, but now they can't get Pred. It's like, iLLeY, maybe come back, let's get Huke. I don't really know what the plan is, but to me it seems like if they can't indeed get, you know, if they can't get Pred, as they seemingly can't, then I guess you've just got to get Huke, right? You bring Huke in, reform Zeo, maybe not the first choice, but maybe the one you've got to go for. And as I say, if it doesn't work out during the Major 2 cycle, as it might well not, but it might work out, then maybe you can still get Pred after Major 2. It just depends, because every event from now to the rest of the season, Surge have less to gain by keeping Pred. Like, okay, let's say, like, OpTic want to buy out Pred after Major 3. There's only 3 more events for Surge to have him, so at that point it's like, well, you know, is it really worth it keeping him with this money on the table? Of course, they'd probably lower their offer OpTic at the time, but still, I don't think these negotiations are necessarily over. They might be over for now, but if OpTic and Surge both struggle at Major 2, I think these discussions will once again be being had, because obviously Pred wants it to happen, as we could tell from those clips. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this in the comment section below, just from Dashy's side as well. He tweets this out last night, just trying to grind some COD, right? So much drama the last few days, and also Dashy's been kind of screwed by this. Of course, you can say it's Dashy's own fault, Of course, you can say it's Dashy's own fault, right? You know, work ethic and stuff like this that have affected his career over the last few years. But nonetheless, he has benched at a kind of, well, an unfortunate time, because there's no options right now. He can't go to Surge unless there is some crazy, like, Sib for Dashy trade or something that goes down. But even then, it seems unlikely, especially with the deadline fast approaching in just a few hours. So what are OpTic going to do? I don't know. OpTic takes his 540, OpTic takes his killer, or maybe even bring back Embos and the boys. Like, it's an absolute mess right now. And yeah, well, I can understand the frustration of the community, but it still goes on this Rostermania stuff. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.